Welcome back, guys. Well, I've been needing to do a 3-month review because I kind of skipped over the 2-month, and it's now past 3 months of having this truck. But wanted to just touch on my thoughts after having this truck for 3 months, and also wanted to do, and I've talked about it. Did buy a product for this truck when I first got it. So I've had this product for the entire 3 months that I've had this truck. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. And I also wanted to touch on driver advisory board. Have a meeting coming up next week. So we'll touch on that and encourage you and let you know how you can let me know if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts that you would like addressed by Prime's DAB. So let's start with my thoughts on this truck for 3 months. Would say I'm now fairly used to it. I know I did kind of a 1-month review where I said, I'm still kind of getting used to it. It's obviously almost second nature at this point. And the big difference being the automated manual transmission versus the Eaton Fuller 10-speed that I had previously. I'm getting on average about a mile per gallon better fuel efficiency with this truck over the previous truck. You would think that would be mainly on the transmission. Both are 13 liter Navistar engine is an N13. This is a DD13, so a Navistar 13 liter engine. This is a Detroit Diesel 13 liter engine in the Freightliner versus the International that I used to have. I don't think that the engine itself is that dramatically different. As I mentioned, an Eaton Fuller 10-speed manual transmission on the old truck. This has a DT 12-speed automated manual Detroit transmission. 12, I guess is what DT stands for. 12-speed automated manual transmission. So the biggest thing I've noticed, although it shifts at higher RPMs than I shifted between 11 and 1200 RPMs on manual. This obviously being an automated manual, it shifts by itself. It will allow the engine to rev higher. I had a conversation with someone who has had an automated manual for a while and suggested you can still manually shift this truck. That's why it's an automated manual. It's not an automatic transmission. And they encouraged me to still shift at 11 or 1200 RPMs. I actually didn't get great fuel mileage when I did that. I got basically similar fuel mileage to the old truck. I did it for a week. So not a massive sample size, but it was a couple of tanks full. And again, my fuel mileage went down back to around 7.5 miles per gallon over a year and a half that I kept track in the old truck. This truck, I'm up closer to 8.5 miles per gallon. If you're not in truck driving, that sounds terrible. Trust me, it's not bad. You'll talk with some guys who get 5 miles per gallon, 6 miles per gallon. So I'm relatively pleased with 8.5. And again, you're talking about 1 mile per gallon increase. It's just, as someone who pays for your own fuel, lease operator, owner operator, any increase in fuel mileage, it's just money back in your pocket. It's less money that you're spending on fuel. But the biggest difference, as I was getting to, is, like I said, I shifted at a lower RPM, but when you're cruising 62, 63, 64, 65 miles an hour in the 10-speed, once you're in 10th gear, there's nowhere else to go. And I found myself sometimes in 10th wanting to shift to another gear because my RPMs were around 1400 RPMs. In this truck, if you're going 65 miles an hour, you're in 12th gear, and you're back around 11 or 1200 RPMs. And that's my assumption, and that's why I say I'm assuming the transmission makes the biggest difference in the fuel mileage, as opposed to the engine, and there could be something with the engine as well. But if you're cruising on the interstate and your engine is spinning at 200 or 300 RPMs fewer, that's going to make a big difference over, you know, the course of a tank of fuel over the course of weeks, of months, and that's where you're going to get your fuel savings. As far as on the daily basis, I have been driving a lot of city traffic. I've been coming to, that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm waiting. I got here an hour and a half early for my appointment. And the guy who unloads me here doesn't get in until an hour before my appointment. So I had a half an hour to kill. So I figured I'd record a video. And a lot of city traffic outside of Chicago. I've been coming to this place a lot lately. Stop and go rush hour traffic. The automated manual it's a lifesaver. I couldn't even think to count how many times I would have shifted gears just on one trip, let alone over the last 3 months that I've saved. And, you know, it's, to me, I'm not thinking about that. I'm paying attention to not running into the car in front of me, watching that car who sees a slight opening and is going to zoom in front of me. You know, it allows you to pay more attention to the idiocy of the others around you, instead of worrying about, I'm going 25 miles an hour, I need to be in 7th gear, now I have to hit my brakes, what gear do I need to shift to because I'm slowing down to 15, now I'm down to 6 miles an hour, what gear do I, you know, you don't need to worry about that. You press the accelerator, you go, you press the brake, you stop. You worry about the vehicles around you, and that is the biggest thing to me, is you're allowed to pay more attention to the world around you, and that's where accidents occur, is you know, not paying attention to that because you're thinking of something else. And yes, shifting, it becomes second nature. I had done it for 4.5 years when I got this truck, but even still, it's one less thing I have to worry about when I'm sitting in traffic. So that part I'm still thrilled with. I don't sleep in this truck. If I did, I've slept in it probably a couple of times now. I think when I did my first month review, I had not slept in it at all. I've now slept in it twice. If I had to sleep in this truck, storage cabinet wise, I still would not be thrilled with it. But for the fact, I mean, there's a cabinet that's completely empty up there, simply because I don't keep clothing in this truck for the most part. If I know I'm going to sleep in the truck, I'll bring a bag with me. But if I had to bring stuff in here, yes, I can understand why guys don't like the lightweight truck from that standpoint. But for what I do, go home more or less every night, I have no complaints whatsoever, and call me a happy camper with the Freightliner lightweight truck with the automated manual transmission. I do want to talk about, and again, I've been teasing a little bit, a couple of videos that I did purchase something. I'm not going to be able to show it. Part of it is I don't want to clean the I'm going to wash the truck next week and vacuum out the floor. So a little bit of laziness on my part, but I purchased custom floor mats, and I've never had custom floor mats other than the, you know, you trim the mats yourself. Minimizer is a company that makes actual custom floor mats that are molded to fit, and it's a 3-piece floor mat set. So you have a passenger, driver, and then you have a center piece, and they're custom molded to fit in all the curves of a Freightliner Cascadia, and you order it by what type of truck you have. When I ordered them, I was under the impression they were similar to WeatherTech. If you're familiar with WeatherTech, they make custom floor mats for any kind of vehicle you can think of. I'm sure seen your ads in car magazines, things along those lines, car TV shows. They laser measure the interiors, and I have them in my Ram pickup truck, my Ram 1500. Those are incredibly detailed in terms of the fit and finish, whatever. I was assuming that these were similar. These are not as nice as WeatherTech. And that's unfortunate because the price point is similar. These were about $200 for the 3 floor mats that are custom fit. And like I said, it's very unfortunate because I wish if I had known they were not as nice as WeatherTech, I may not have gotten them. In general, I'm happy with them, but when I was figuring I would get WeatherTech type floor mats, and WeatherTech does not make, that's probably the biggest problem, is that WeatherTech, I wish WeatherTech would make their custom floor mats for semis. I think it's a market that they're missing out on. These are nice, but I don't think they're $200 nice. So if you've seen the Minimizer custom floor mats and you've been thinking about them, I'd give them a thumbs up. They're nice. I wish they were maybe half. I would probably pay $100 if I were to get them again. I don't think I would pay $200 to get them again. So that's my thoughts on the Minimizer custom floor mats for Freightliner products. Finally, I wanted to touch on a driver advisory board meeting coming up next week. Of course, you can go to our website. I'll throw that in the link or link to the website for the Prime Driver Advisory Board. You can at any time submit a question. That's for Prime drivers. You can submit a question to the Prime Driver Advisory Board. The email that, if you hit the submit a question on that, it goes to all of the Driver Advisory Board members. You can always also obviously drop a comment on this video if you want something touched on next week. And you can obviously email me as well, and I'll include that in the description as well. I've got a couple of topics that I obviously have talked to folks about, and they want addressed next week when I go. It's next Wednesday, the end of October here, if this video's up a little later. So my next video will be kind of a recap of what we talked about at the Fall 2019 Prime Driver Advisory Board. But again, if you do have some thoughts or some things you'd like to see addressed, I would love to hear from you. So there'll be a couple of links down below that you can accomplish that at. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this interesting. Some thoughts on a product that I bought for this truck and 3 months with the 2020 Freightliner Cascadia P3 Lightweight. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you do want to come to Prime, if you're not currently driving for us, click on the link in the description. It'll take you right to the application. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.